Bet you didn't expect to see my face after the last video, and I bet you didn't expect Steve Cooper to get sacked. But as you can tell, if you've been living on a rock, that Steve Cooper's lost his job. First of all, I'll get into, so thank you for all your lovely comments. I'll probably get into them a little bit more at the end of after the last video. Thank you for all those you sent your private message and everything. I'll get into that a little bit at the end. But this is an example of, again, what I'll be doing going forward. When this news came out, I was with friends, I was out, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to enjoy my meal. Then we're going to come back, then record a video. So now we're recording it. And Steve Cooper has been sacked from Leicester City. So you might be wondering, what are my thoughts on this? Do I have any animosity towards him? No. Let's be honest. He was just not. He wasn't cut out for the job. And that's nothing against the guy. I think the guy might have been an all right guy, but Steve, it just didn't work, mate. It's just not. You weren't the right man for the club, and that's okay. But I hope, again, I wish you no animosity. I don't hate you. I was more frustrated about, where are we going? What are we doing? I don't know. It's slow. A car crash in slow motion is what's going to happen, and relegation was on the cards. The club have acted quickly, partly, and again, maybe this is being ultra harsh, but looking at this in hindsight, why wasn't this done in the international break? It would have made more sense to get it done in the international break. I've read some reports from, we'll get into those in a second, but things like John Percy, especially. So John Percy put a couple of articles out. Obviously, he was probably waiting for this moment. He probably knew in advance writing these articles. There's things that is mentioned around the falling out with Yannick Vestergaard, which I think we've mentioned so far, who wasn't on the bench going forward against Chelsea. But I want to get into some other points as well. Sacking Steve Cooper was the good first step. It means nothing unless we get the right manager in. Let me give you an example. Mark Robbins is available. Wouldn't be the right manager for us. We might as well have kept Steve Cooper. Another one, do you remember Paul Lambert, a manager that was at Aston Villa when they got relegated? Well, I think they sacked him halfway through the season, 15-16 season. Not the manager we need. We might as if we were going to hire him, we have to get the next appointment right. But I'm glad the club acted, compared to, because it was feeling very similar to when we were under Brendan Rodgers, when it was all going wrong and the club didn't act. And I felt like the club was going the same way. There was reports saying we're going to wait until December, until January, and I'm glad the club have acted now. And it's given me a bit more hope, a bit more confidence, because I do believe in the squad. I look through the squad, and it's something that we've done in this video. If you watched myself do with Ant and Daz as well, if you go and watch that video, we went through all the Premier League players. We went, is this Premier League quality? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And overall, we concluded we've got a Premier League squad. And we've got a good level Premier League squad with some real quality, not just in terms of the starting 11, but in terms of some strength and depth. For example, the midfield, there's some, like, Samori's come into form. You've got strength and depth. Oliver Skip, we've got Harry Winks, we've got some good players there. And I'm glad the club have acted. And yes, last time they had their hands tied, but we expected him to go if he was going to go into the national break. A lot of us fans were waiting for potentially the West Ham game, the Brentford game, and then they might make a decision as kind of against the Chelsea game. That was one thing. Another thing that stood out against the Chelsea game, I know I didn't do a post-match for that one. If you do want to see part of it, go to Blue Tinted Glasses, get a link in the description, and you'll see the post-match I was on for about 15 minutes before I had to go. That one was another example of Enzo changed his system, and he played a 3-2-4-1, but instead of playing the normally inverts the fullback, I think he did it for the second goal, or the goal that was ranked offside. He played Cucurella in that high left position that Mavididi used to play in his old system. And so I think he still feels glad about Leicester. I think his post-match comments regarding Leicester, his pre-match comments from Enzo did tell us that. Anyway, if you want to read them, really interesting comments he's making. But I think he was kind of showing Steve Cooper, this is how you play the system. You want to invert the player, put him up front, but then if you notice, every time they lost the ball, Cucurella was dashing back to get it back in the position. And he was I think he still likes Leicester because they gave him at the start of his career. Let's be honest. We gave him his career, and he's took a brilliant job at a really good club, and I don't have anything against him. I'm really going to go warm welcome. coming back to this, before I get onto the managers, I want something else. Something else has come recently that you might have seen, and I think this is this has been an issue that Leicester City have had for a while, and I want to get into it. There has been a video going around the internet just after Steve Cooper's fired, playing this. I don't know if you've seen it. Again, I'll go through it slowly. I don't think I'll be demonetized. There is a sign at a club saying, Enzo, I miss you. One. First of all, before that's even started, embarrassing. If this allegedly happened on the Saturday in Copenhagen, so the players have done the game, got some time, then gone all the way to Copenhagen for a match. The fact that they're putting this, embarrassing. I love Enzo. You've got to move on. Even if Steve Cooper was the manager. And what does this look like for if I'm top? I'm going ballistic. I'm going, what the hell are you doing? What kind of team are you that you're celebrating after you just won a game? Imagine if look, for those of you that have jobs, imagine if you had a stinker of a week and then you go out and do that equivalent of that. I miss my old workplace. They're going to go mental. Some of them might write you off right there. You go, leave. I would be, even if, again, they knew about Steve Cooper being fired, it's still not acceptable. That's still absolutely not acceptable. And if this came out, and the players are so lucky that this came out after the Steve Cooper news, I think people are so, oh, thank God he's gone. I think we don't have to worry about relegation as much as we used to. If this news was to come out before, Leicester fans are losing their minds. We've just lost, and you're celebrating like this. Yes, it's a leaked video, etc. But the look that this has is awful. Now, you might be wondering, oh, well, is this actually Leicester? Let's wind it forward a little bit more. So we've got a little bit there, like bar girl, etc. Obviously with the message saying, Enzo, I miss you. Zooms out a little bit, and you make out some players. Let's just put them two back there. Having the time of their life. It looks like Connor Cody and Harry Winks, the two of them. Again, let's see what happens if more context come out of that. That is, again, the 23rd of November, which as of the time of recording is actually yesterday. But that is Connor Cody, who didn't feature. Harry Winks, who came off with an injury, a groin injury, apparently. He looks like he's having a whale of a time. There's a dude that looks down here. I don't think he's a player, but it looks like, if anyone was a Conrad Logan, for me, it looks a bit like him, the ex-goalkeeper that we had. I can't recognize some players that are there. There is, and it just comes across. And then you're also seeing James Justin, player's been hung out to dry, looking absolutely over the moon. Hamza Chowdhury, surprise, Hamza Chowdhury's having a party, everybody. I've been a big fan. I can't say anything. Bottles flying everywhere. Then another game. And then for this one, I think that's Danny Ward in the back. Let's be honest. And then we go through and then it goes back to there. And then again, a bit more of them two mentioned there. So it's not a lot of players. And I think just one here. Can I bring this back a little bit more? As you can see here, that looks like Casey McAteer as well. We don't know how many players, if it was a full squad. But even if Enzo was fired and they're celebrating that, that's embarrassing. That's really embarrassing as players that you're doing that. And I think that's really bad. Now let's go back into some of the players some of the managers that have been linked with us. And I'll go through some of them in a little bit of order. I'll go from least obvious to ones that have been mentioned by John Percy. As mentioned, Mark Robbins has been one of them. Let's be honest. Let's not go near that. Carlos Corberán been mentioned in odds as well. That one less so. I think he'll probably stay on at West Brom. Now they're not doing as well. I think they've slipped down the table a little bit. And the new ownership has promised more money and more funding. He could be an option. But apparently he was available for 4 million. But he's not one that's been mentioned in the conversations. Also, something to mention. And this links to the next person that we're going to mention. Ruud van Nistelrooy. Just at Man United, people say, oh, he did a really good job. I think he did the job that he needed to do. But it was considering, do you remember when Ranieri left Leicester and Craig Shakespeare took charge? he just made the place a bit happier and just let the players kind of do what they need to do the basics well. And I think Van Nistelrooy did that. Not to take away from what he did, but I think his management, because Ten Hag was so bad, it was so toxic, he didn't need to do the basics well. Then he would leave, enter on a better scale, and that would have been better. So overall, we'll get into that. But leading on from that, another reason why I think, and again, for the news, again, official news, if you've not seen it already, again, they part ways with Steve Cooper after 12 games. Let's be honest, it's probably one of the worst manager appointments to go from Enzo Maresca to Steve Cooper. I was willing to back him, but it wasn't good enough, let's be honest. And the position in the table kind of leads us that. Also was interesting, if you look here, Alan Tate's leaving with him, Steve Rands. So the players, the people that he brought into the club have also left with them. First team training will be given to Ben Dawson. I think he's the one that normally does the first team training. He's been there for ages as well. In the meantime, in the interim, and the club have said, just to that last line, just to bring it back up, the club begins the process of appointing a new manager, which we hope to conclude as soon as possible. And we see by the final lines there. So it is obvious that they're trying to find someone. Now, I've heard 4 names go about. And this was before Steve Cooper was announced to be sacked. 2 of them you probably heard of before. 3 of them, one I've just mentioned, Carlos Corberán, we'll take him out the phrase for now, who have had interviews before. Now, an interview just means there's an option. Doesn't mean that we're going to sign them as a manager. For example, Steve McKenna in the summer of 2023 had an interview at Leicester, then went back and signed a new deal with Ipswich, and now they come to the Premier League. 4 names that I heard. Number 1 mentioned Corberán. Number 2, David Moyes, Potter, and the wild card. I don't think this will happen, but I've heard this name being bounded around by multiple sources. Will Still, the current, I think, Lens manager. Yeah, Will Still is one of the ones that I've heard. I think he's less likely to get it, to be honest, so I'm not really going to include him. Let's go through those again. Let's go through the 3 that, again, have been mentioned by John Percy. Well, again, one of the best sources, if not the best source when it comes to Leicester City. Let's get this up. Foss Hub, again, did a really good job. They are hoping they can make an appointment later in the week ahead of the 4-match in a fortnight against Brentford, which, again, is going to give them a lot of time. And I think the reason why, normally what Leicester do is they get the next manager sorted before they fire the other manager. Look at the only exception of that will be Brendan Rodgers. When Brendan Rodgers left, it was mutual consent, and then we had to scramble around, find a manager, and we've got Dean Smith in. Normally there's a plan. For example, Claude Puel. When Claude Puel left, Brendan Rodgers was ready and lined up to come into the job. Now, the reason why I bring up the backroom staff, I don't think Ruud van Nistelrooy would be the guy that would come in and bring his own staff with him. So I think it comes down to 2 people that I've mentioned. Graham Potter and David Moyes. I spoke to a couple of West Ham fans already, and they've already said, Neil, if you get Moyes, we do feel sorry for you. Which I thought was really interesting. But it's one of the things where and again, I always listen to fans because fans know better than people. For example, there'll be people watching this to go, he wasn't given enough time. Did he have time to implement his system for Steve Cooper? What did you expect with the number of injuries? I mean, you're playing Man United and Chelsea. You weren't expected to win, were you? These are the kind of lazy narratives. And again, was I expected to win? No, just have a decent, but just to try and show me something. Show me a system, show me a process that we're getting behind. And it's all these nuances that are missed when you watch a 3-minute highlight. So, again, Steve Cooper is gone. And also his 2 staff that he brought in behind have also gone. This is why I think that Ruud van Nistelrooy will be less likely. Let's bring that back up again. But the 2 front runners after that, Graham Potter, David Moyes, and Ruud van Nistelrooy will emerge as realistic candidates. Now let's talk about Potter first. We talked about Potter, and Potter's a name been thrown around for the last couple of years now. Ever since he left the Chelsea job, we've been linked with him. I make this, and again, because I'm demonetized, I don't care making these jokes now. If we go after Potter again and again, this guy's gonna have a restraining order out on Leicester City, isn't he? He's gonna be banned from a 20-mile radius of coming to the club because we keep going for him and he keeps saying no. We keep going. But the difference is the context is different. Leicester is in a place now. We've got rid of our manager, and there isn't really any options for what options are there for Potter? He's got an opportunity to rebuild his career. We like him. It's a good opportunity. If we're going to try and play, you think about the players in the squad that we've got. They are designed. The majority of players is a possession-based system. Potter suits that. Players that can play multiple roles. Think about a wing back of James Justin that could work. Buonanotte could be another good player that could be optimized for this squad. I think Potter is the best fit. And looking at some of these, if we want, and the main reason why we got rid of Cooper is because we wanted Premier League survival. We've made this mistake before, and I'm glad the club have acted early. However, if you go and get Van Nistelrooy, it's a risk. The other two, I'd say Moyes is your safest pair of hands. Let's be honest. Moyes is somebody that's going to get you through and go, look, we're going to stay in the Premier League and we'll rebuild in the summer. If we give Moyes a really long contract, that's a problem. Go and ask West Ham fans. They aren't too happy. And I can understand why. Think about when we had Claude Puel and we were doing well. We were in the top 10. We were playing this boring football. And people forget West Ham got smashed so many times. But he got them a European trophy. And we just need to stay safe. And we've got the team to stay safe. And that's why I was so like, I just want to put my boots up. I just don't want to watch football anymore because I'm not interested. I'm not enjoying it. Then coming back into this, Potter would be probably the most ideal candidate. The problem was he wanted to bring in his director of football, and we didn't want to replace or help out with Rudkin. Now, my thing is, without even commenting on Rudkin in terms of what he's done so far, my thing is we need somebody in that team that's going to be solely concentrated on Leicester City. Rudkin is doing the horses, he's doing King Power, he's doing Leicester a little bit, and it's not good enough. We need somebody to come in and actually go, right, we know what we're doing, and we're going to be fully focused on this. Susan Wheatley is another one, CEO of Leicester City, yes, but she's also does other things with King Power as well. We need somebody that's solely focused on that. That's going to be the big breaking point. If they can organize it, and if they go, do you know what? We do need Steve Cooper. So we do need Graham Potter, and we need him in now. That would be a good solution. Moyes would be a safer pair of hands for the short term. However, he plays a counter-attacking style. With the players that we've had, are they going to be happy playing counter-attack? I'm thinking Harry Winks. The answer is no. Let's be honest. Is Moyes an upgrade on Cooper? Yes. But he's a short-term manager. And I mean this in the greatest respect. I just don't think we have the players in the squad to really get the most out of Moyes. And there is no guarantee that Moyes is going to work and the players aren't going to fall out with him. So the idea of Moyes, I think, is a good idea. A manager with plenty of Premier League experience. But what's the problem with his football? It's a bit archaic. It's a bit old-fashioned. Seeing similarities to Steve Cooper? I think he's better than Steve Cooper. There's some similar traits there. And if you go and listen to West Ham fans and speak to them, they were saying, thank you for winning us the Europa League. The Conference League, we absolutely love you. But now be a good time to move on. Claude Puel, again, is another, as mentioned, is something that sticks out. So I think Potter would be the right man for the job. If we can get this director of football situation sorted and Potter can bring in his own people. The difference is last time, I think there was a money issue. There was a money issue with trying to get the right man. Because of the old FFP situation, we had to sell Kingsbury Hall, Brigitte, and then if you noticed, after that window, then we started to sign players again. It's not an easy job, but I've said for a while this team can easily be safe. And we're looking at the table now, and I feel a bit more optimistic depending on who we get. Because if we go to the table and we look at where things stand, the points distance between us, actually, that might not be up to date. Let me refresh this. Yeah. So we are 1 point off relegation at this moment in time. We have, again, Leicester, again, obviously, we're on 12 points. Wolves have won 4-1 against Fulham, and Ipswich have also drew against Man United. So that puts us on 10 points against 9 and 9. And then Crystal Palace are on 8 as well. So it's all to play for. Everton are just ahead. West Ham are just a point behind as well. And we play West Ham in a couple of weeks' time. So that's just something to consider. Not even a week's time. At the time of recording, about 9 days' time. We've got a lot of fixtures coming up, and we've got to hit the ground running. So I'm really hoping it's Potter. And if it's not going to be Potter, we've got to have a manager with a front foot. Top has been very clear that he wants Potter. Time and time again, we've gone after him. And for reasons in the past, it hasn't worked. This is the time that we've got to work. Because this next appointment is crucial. It's not as bad as it could have been. And I'm glad they've acted now. But again, there is problems with the players. There is problems, I think, in general with the ownership. But I'm glad they've acted. I just want to see what you want to do next. Leicester, what are you going to do? Potter will be a really good option. But again, the 3 names mentioned at the moment, Van Nistelrooy, he's an unknown. He would be a risk, and we've done a risky manager before in Enzo. We didn't know Enzo never had a job before. We had the Palmer job, but never really worked out. This is a real test for the ownership. They must have somebody in mind. For me to sack him now, they've already got a couple of options that they're ready to go. Now, John Percy's published that relatively quickly. So I've got a feeling that he's been in the knowledge for a while. There's been a few other comments regarding that have come out regarding that, but a lot of them on, again, just checking, there's nothing too much. There's something from Football Insider, which I don't want to talk too much. There was, again, it's mentioned about there's been clashes with players such as Yannick Vestergaard. Harry Winks and Hamza Chowdhury apparently banished from training as well. And yeah, I don't see things are going well. But there are certain players, again, if we play a Potter style, Winks would come back into the team. I think Potter would really enjoy working with Winks, working with Vestergaard, working with potentially like a Connor Cody playing like a Lewis Dunk role. I think could work. Well, Fass, I think the mistake he made, and not just a mistake he made, that the 3 or 4 chances he should just get it out for the first goal against Chelsea. For me, that's a droppable offence. And this isn't the first time, even this season. You can get away with that stuff in the Championship. You can't get away with it in the Prem. So they're my thoughts on it. Again, I'd love for us to go out and get Potter. Let's see what happens. But the 3 names at the moment that have been mentioned, Potter, Moyes, Ruud van Nistelrooy. If we remember back to where we were, what was it called? In the summer. Not this summer, the last summer. Steve Cooper was always been mentioned in these conversations, or Steve Cooper, and then it kind of, he was the favourite after Graham Potter kind of dropped off. I think they've got something sorted with one of those managers, and we've reached an agreement with them, which is why they've sacked the manager. Then they're going to go, cool, we've got the next person started up. Let's sack him, and then let's bring in the next person. We will see who it is. Again, I'd love to see it to be Potter. I wouldn't mind Moyes. I just think we might be in the same situation. He'll keep us safe, but the players will be in a similar situation in a 3 months' time. But he'll keep us safe, just like he did to West Ham when they fired Pellegrini as manager. Anyway, feeling I can't guarantee I'll be back for more post-match. I might do some like these. pre-recorded things rather than going live. Again, just like this, I just want to say, like, for example, I was out with friends. I loved the news, had a massive grin on my face, like, oh my God, thank God. And if you notice against I didn't have that since Claude Puel. Claude Puel was another thank God moment. After that moment, then we went and got in Brendan Rodgers very, very quickly because it was already pre-signed and pre-agreed. But yeah, and I just want to say, just at the end, I want to say thank you for the amount of lovely comments you've given. It really does mean a lot. It was just because the football was getting so depressing. I could see things that are happening and coming. Now I feel a bit more energized. I just want to see who the next appointment is. My job is still concentrating on my outside of things and making sure that things are going up. Just let you know, I will be appealing the decision for the strikes being taken down. I've had conversations with other people, mentioned why is your channel being taken down, even though you're reusing content. We're working out a solution. I'm going to see if YouTube rejects or approves it, but I'm going to appeal it either way. And again, thanks for all your brilliant comments. It was lovely seeing them all. And hopefully this isn't like Neil just did it for clickbait. It genuinely was how I was feeling at the time. And part of it was I was run down. I was fed up with the football. I was a bit tired from work. I just did the recording with Lewis for the Chelsea preview before this came out. And we are still demonetized. You probably see there was no ads on this video as well. So things are looking better. But again, time will tell. So I can't guarantee that there will be post matches after every game. I still want to prioritize my own health, etc., and my own mental well-being. And there won't be weekly streams like there were before in terms of post match. I want to enjoy my weekends more. However, I still wanted to come online, make this video, just update you guys as well, and saying it wasn't probably as bad as I probably was at that time, and leave you on that negative note. So yeah, it wasn't clickbait. Genuinely, that's how I was feeling at the time, and I thought this was going on until at least January time, which is why I just didn't want to make any content because it was just going to be the same problems again and again. Now we've got a manager, we've got a new solution in. So again, we'll play it by ear. But thank you so much for all your lovely comments. I've read all of them. I need to go through and star and reply to them because thank you all for being understanding. That's all I want to say. A big thank you. Some of you haven't commented before, and it was really lovely to hear your feedback. Thank you for all the DMs I've had on Twitter from other channels, from just fans going, hey, I saw you. If you need anything, just let me know. Some of them were like, you go on my channel now. And thank you to all of the people. Again, it does mean a lot. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Steve Cooper's sacking. Steve, wish you all the best. Wasn't the right appointment. I don't blame you. No fault of your own. I do blame the board still. Board, make sure you get this next one right. See you all in a bit.